Hi, in this lesson, we're going to look at how we can use arrays and indexing in our apps. Let's start with a quick refresher. An array, or a list as they are also called, keeps track of an ordered collection of things. Here we have two different lists, one called My Friends that contains 4 strings, and another called Test Scores that contains 5 int values. An important thing to note about arrays is that they are mutable, meaning that the items held inside them can be altered. So for example, if we made a new friend at lunch and wanted to add them to the My Friends list, we could do that. Or similarly, if our teacher decided to curve the 4th test we took and change our score from an 89 to a 93, that can be done as well. To write arrays, we enclose all of the items in square brackets and separate each item with a comma. One array can contain a mix of different item types, so we could have int values and strings in the same list as seen here. We can also have as many items as we want inside our arrays and can remove and add items after the list is created. Items in a list are ordered, meaning that each item corresponds to a certain placement or index in our list. The first item here, Jennifer, is held at index 0. The second item, 10, is held at index 1. The third item, Kira, is held at index 2. And our final item, 13, is found at index 3. It is very important to remember that our index values always start at 0, so even though our list contains 4 items, our index values only go from 0 to 3. To access an item in an array, we simply state the name of the list and then the index value we want to call in square brackets. In React Native, though, we usually will have this list stored inside a state variable, so to access it, we'd need to use this.state before calling and indexing the list My Friends. Let's take a look at using arrays inside our apps. In this app, we want the name of the city listed here to change every time we click the button. Right now, we only have one city name listed and being used from our state. Let's use a list to hold many city names in the same variable. So instead of city, I'll call this cities. And inside square brackets, I'll add a couple more city names. Now I can call the first city name using indexing. I know my list items start with an index of 0, so I'll change this to cities and use square brackets with a 0 to call that city. Awesome! How do I call the other cities? Well, if I use a value of 1, I'll call the city saved in the 2nd position, and if I use a value of 2, I'll call the city in the 3rd position, and so on. So what I want to do is use a variable that will start at 0 and will increase by 1 every time the button is clicked. So I'll make a variable called count, and inside my random state function, I'll make sure that count increases by a value of 1 every time. Let's see how that looks. My city is stuck on that 3rd option. That's because I never told the count variable to be used here to control my index value. Let's see how it works now. I need to make sure that count is saved in a state, so I need to use this.state when I call it. Now when I click my button, I can go through all of my cities saved. Awesome! Now it's your turn.